Hello, gorgeous. I believe we're live. Let me double check before I begin. Welcome, 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 everybody. Whoever you are, wherever you are, please let me know. I like to genuinely say hello to each and every one of you. Whether you're watching this, I'm doing this in December 2025, or you watch this in, I don't know, umpteen years later or wherever, I please do say hello. It is something since I've been doing this for over 14 years, since day one and showing up online. I do like to personally say hello to each and every one of you. I believe in genuine human connection, and yeah, there's no bots here. So welcome to my humble abode. It uh, this one's going to be a doozy, as they say in America, because I'm going to be sharing something which we all possess. That will literally bring what you want into your life. This is no airy fairy stuff. Okay, this is practical steps, and my hope and wish for you with this video is that it is the catalyst that you need, that you want, that it is a perspective that maybe you haven't thought of before, and that maybe this is something that changes the trajectory of your life just like it did my own this past November. Okay, now for those of you who don't know who I am, welcome. My name is Stacey Sargison. I'm a transformational coach and confidant where, like I said, for over 14 years I have been publicly sharing my own trials and tribulations, my highs, lows, everything in between, around what it's like and how to truly live life on your terms and be honest with yourself. Okay, we can all talk about transformation and talk on the other side of it, but I like to share, whilst you're in it sometimes, because we're all imperfectly perfect. And typically, if you stumble upon me, you do want some form of change in your life, some awareness, maybe a perspective shift. Maybe you want to think a little bit broader. Maybe you want a little bit more adventure in your life. Yeah, you come to the right place. So make yourself comfortable. I don't typically do short videos. So if long form is your bag, I'm for you. And like I said, do let me know when you're on. I'm going to turn this off so it's not distracting me. But today, I am sharing everything around what we all possess. Now, maybe you have heard of the saying, you can only love somebody as much as you love yourself. Or maybe you can only be met by how deep you can meet yourself, or they can only meet you with how deep they want to meet themselves. Now, I tend to, this is a bit of a buzzword, but I am a huge advocate for authenticity, which means you being you being honest with yourself, you doing the necessary work, whatever it is, to move out of your own way. We all typically know, especially if you work with me, there is a part where we know we're holding ourselves back, maybe in love, in business, in who you want to talk to, in your impact, in anything like that. And I very recently have been met, not that I asked, but never mind, with some feedback. I've been met by family members, I've been met by strangers, I've been met with people that know me who I've inadvertently heard it through people, around the power of people's perception. Now, without going into too much detail, I made some notes here. Whether I look at them or not and use them is another thing. However, I wanted to share with you the moments, or the power of having authenticity, and really, living by it, because authenticity affects and the levels in which you are authentic, real, honest with yourself and with others, is showing you in life, like your life is showing you where or how much you are being that or not. Now, we can all say we're one thing, but behind the scenes, not be. True authenticity, I'm not telling you how to suck eggs, but we know deep down, authenticity is how true are you being with yourself and how are you living to those coordinates. Do you say yes when you mean yes? And do you say no when you mean no? Or are you typically saying yes when you mean no and no when you mean yes? And that's usually a good gauge, right? Of how in line with yourself are you living? Now, people work with me, whether it's I don't know, they've got a book that they want to sell and they really want to impact millions, or there's a version of yourself physically that you want to be. Like, I document all of this and in between, like on my Instagrams and things. Whether it's a physique that maybe you haven't had since you were 20, and now you're in your 50s, or maybe it's a business idea that you've had that you haven't really ever tried, or you've tried it but the results haven't happened really to your liking. It's typically usually because there's a part of yourself that's hiding. Okay. I had very publicly shared over the last 6 months how my life went from living in Australia doing that and sharing, like I said, highs, lows, everything in between. And I shared how I pretty much like detonated, like detonated my own life. I knew that business wasn't going where I wanted it to go. My relationship at the time, I thought was going down a certain path, but then I was like, it's not, for reasons that I shan't share now. It's not needed. But I knew that there was things in my life that weren't aligned, and there was behaviors, there was patterns, from myself included, that was like, this is not the best version of myself. So I made it a choice to come back to England, leave, even though I'd spent tens of thousands on immigration lawyers and all of that all by myself. Like, I just turned my back on all of that, restarted my life in England, but yet my business still was like stagnant. It was still like, I openly shared, like nothing seemed to be working until, and I'm going to share the until. So if you're in this stagnancy stage, or nothing seems to be working, maybe you're in survival, or maybe you've just plateaued, right? For me, my health had plateaued, and I'll share some more about that as well. But when you're true with yourself and you meet yourself at the depths in which who you are or who you want to be, right? Because who you want to be, side note tangent, who you want to be is actually you already within. There's a version of you within. And it's up to you to say yes to him or her, right? It's up to you to say, I acknowledge that version within myself which is residing, and now I'm actually willing to do something about it. Okay, I'm going to share some steps that will help you. And like I said, I want this to be something that you can actually utilize, not just watch me. So with that, I realized the quick fix of business or love or appreciation or whatever it is, like whatever it is that you're seeking, the version of yourself that you want, the business impact that you want. I've recently just, another client that I'm working with has just gone massively viral, and they have a huge mission that they want to share. And it's like, coming to me. Now, to the outsider, or to anybody that's kind of watching, is like, why would these people go to this woman that's just shared that her life has just imploded? And I'm going to share with you why. And again, if you're in any plateau, maybe you're in a love plateau, and how people just will come to you like moths round a flame. I don't really like saying that. I like saying bees round honey. Like bees round honey. And you see these people that walk in and they're just, it's effortless. They rule the room, and they're not, it's effortless. They're not even trying, right? And it's the same with online, with sharing things, or with having a business, and what makes people sit up and pay attention. And you're not doing what everyone else is doing. There are no landing pages, yet people pay thousands, tens of thousands to work with you. Like, what makes people do that? I'm going to share with you. It all boils down to your authenticity. So, and hear me, because what I'm going to share will change your life if you're willing to open up to it. Because like I said, not everybody who works with me has a business, okay? Not everyone that works with me wants love or weight loss, but they're the things that I help people with. And especially if you are at a place in your life where you can feel a pivot is percolating, or that there's something that just doesn't seem to be gelling, it's because something within yourself isn't gelling. And that means you're not being true to yourself in some manner. That means your authenticity isn't, you're not possessing true authenticity. You're trying to mold yourself, and it's okay. I totally understand. But we try and mold ourselves to be validated or accepted or welcomed or safe. When we hold that key, you hold that key. Okay. So when I shared at the beginning of this video, what really shifted for me after months and months of stagnancy, of nothingness in my business, and, why would anyone want to hire me when my life is just looking vastly different to how it has been, was this. I had an opportunity to look at myself in a way a new perspective, just like hopefully this video will do for you. Okay, the new perspective. Somebody challenged me. I don't think they realized at the time, but somebody challenged me to explain, like, they couldn't see, their words were the consistency of me. Okay. And what I shared, like, 1 minute you're this, you're working for the Hollywood film industry, and then you're kind of like, what, you give that up? And why did you leave the Hollywood film industry when you had this job here, here, and here? And things weren't adding up in their mind, right? And I faced it by saying, all these accolades that I'd had, are true. They are things where I put myself in the rooms to be noticed. I put myself in publicists' faces to be like, you want to pay attention to me because I'm doing something really fucking cool. It was that level of confidence, and I call it the audacity. And the thing is, when you are a woman or a man that is living life truthfully to yourself, it doesn't have to make sense to anybody. Hear me for a second. So in business, a lot of the times we get told to niche, right? Niche, who are you talking to? Hi everyone, who are you talking to? Who's your clientele? Who's your ideal customer? All of those things. And I have always said, and I continue to do so, the niche is like the characteristics, like who are you talking to? What are their characteristics like? Are they a person, for example, with me, people that work with me value they value the fact they want to change. They value the fact that they're going to have to leave their comfort zone in some way, shape or form or capacity to have experience what it is that they have yet to experience. Because if they were to have what they wanted the way that they're already doing it or being it, it would already be there. You would already have it. So there's a level of an awareness, of openness for them to want to do something about it. Unless they see somebody such as myself who is unapologetic about it, and I have the audacity to show up and share, because there's a part of their lives where they don't have the audacity. The audacity is missing, and then we refine it to the point of we strip away all the shoulds, like coulda, woulda, shouldas. We strip away all the reasons why not, and why yes, and why you, and why now, right? And so when people don't quite understand you, like I said, other feedback has been, oh my God, it's okay for her to travel and do all of that because she's affluent. It's like, if you actually have watched anything that I've done, you would have seen I was on the bones of my arse and I couldn't pay rent and I was pot washing and I was like trying to apply for jobs and getting rejected left, right and center. The same month, rejected left, right and center, was the same month clients started saying yes again. So yeses can change your life at any point. But first, what were the things that changed? First of all, the catalyst of change for me was not just focusing on business. There was other parts. I wasn't truly being myself because there was other parts of myself that I was ignoring, right? So for example, hi gorgeous. So for example, I knew deep down, I've always said this, so I'm not saying like I talk it, preach it, and I'm still learning too. I'm still kind of getting back on track, like refocusing, realigning, pivoting. And I realized when I was in America recently, I'd fallen into this ignorance of self, of what I really wanted. And that for me was because I had been in survival for, maybe you can relate, because I'd been in survival for so long, my health took a back seat. And because my health took a back seat, my inner confidence, my natural magnetism, which we all possess, by the way. We all have that when we're honoring ourselves. I wasn't honoring myself to look after myself in that way because I couldn't see the wood for the trees about other things. But the moment that I saw it, this is step one. The moment you see it or have been faced with somebody questioning it or wanting to understand a little bit more that may have triggered you, activated you, whatever word you want to use, that for me was the catalyst, which I hope this video is for you. It's the snap, I call it. And the snap is the inflection point. Hope you're making notes. The snap is the inflection point. And the inflection point is this. What I am feeling, experiencing right now is greater than the fear of me going outside my comfort zone. I shall say that again for those at the back. The inflection point is the moment you snap when you say, what I'm feeling right now is far greater than the comfort or the fear of leaving my comfort zone or the fear of people not liking me or the fear like that. Once that snap has happened, it's like the straw that breaks the camel's back. You know within yourself when you've reached that point. Because if you haven't reached that inflection point, it's kind of a nice to have rather than a necessity. It's kind of a nice to have the idea of doing that business or making that money or attracting those clients. And we can say, because trust me, I have been there on the bones of my ass, on my knees in this very lounge, being like, why, like I'm showing up, but why isn't anybody saying yes to working with me? Okay. And I'll tell you for why, right? Spoiler, external validation. Because there were things in my life that I wasn't honoring, addressing. The snap, as much as is this making sense? As much as I thought, how, like, Stacey, you can't afford anything. Stacey, like, nobody's listening to what you're saying, and friends and family and people that you surround yourself with are saying, why is she doing that? Why is she sharing all of her personal life like that? Why? But do you understand what I'm saying? That the inflection point comes from a perspective or somebody questioning you or doubting. And a lot of people can say, I don't like the way that made me feel. Good. Because you're going to have to leave your comfort zone, there's got to be some discomfort. And unless the discomfort is, I was already feeling when I looked in the mirror, had nothing to do with my business. I was like, I know what I'm talking about in my business to this day. But there was things behind the scenes where I was like, it's called the authenticity, the power of it that you possess right now is based upon the little micro nuances that you are doing and adhering to behind the scenes. And so to some, it doesn't look like much. Oh, what so? You're not looking after your body or you're not feeling sexy. It doesn't really matter. Like, it doesn't really matter. You're not seeing anybody right now. Why does it matter? And it's like, but it matters to me. It mattered to me, but not enough for me to change it. Why? Because I was waiting for something else, aka my business, to take off again before I did something about it. And maybe, I'm not saying this is business, maybe you're waiting for yourself to heal before you open up your heart again, to find the love of your life again, or to meet the love of your life. If that's the case, once the inflection point happens, once you say, and every single person that works with me has this moment, enough is enough. Enough is enough. Not just I'm talking about it, not just because talking about it isn't doing it, even though we can convince ourselves as such. It's about saying, I am willing to shift my identity. I am willing to be misunderstood. I am willing to be a pain in the ass to everybody else. I am willing to show up even though I'm shit scared. I'm willing to do whatever you're willing to do, aka move outside your comfort zone, is when you know, like, I'm willing to part with the cash to learn how. I'm willing to put the time, effort, energy, resources into moving my body or eating better. I'm willing to understand why I'm in this yo-yo dieting pattern. I'm willing to, like, where, if you can sense check yourself, like, even if things are okay, but you want to go to the next level, because I work with very high achieving women too, well, men too, high achieving souls. It's not that they're pursuing because they're not pursuing to prove a point, typically. because otherwise it's not sustainable, you'll just burn out. They're not to prove a point. It's because that's naturally who they are. And if they stop or hold themselves back because when will enough be enough? Or can't you just be happy with what you've got? You've made it. It's like, yeah, but they're not satisfied because they are naturally people who want change, who want shifts, who want elevation, adventure. That's who they are. But the moment we start capping ourselves or diluting ourselves or not being that person, we literally eat away with who we are. So when we eat away with who we are, actions, habits, we stop because maybe the person that you're with doesn't quite get it. Maybe whatever it is, you're literally holding yourself back. It doesn't look typically like you're holding yourself back, but true expression, if you're not being true, you're holding yourself back for fear of not being misunderstood, for fear of pissing people off, the fear of being this like money grabbing bitch. It's like, money in the hands of good people, good will be done in the world. Like I don't have to anyway, that's a whole different tangent for another video for another time maybe. Okay, so that's the first step, is the inflection point. Once the inflection point happens, then comes the identity question. And the identity question is, do you still want to do, are you still willing to do X, Y, and Z to be the person that has X, Y, and Z? Now, a lot of people think sirens, confirmation sirens. A lot of people say, yeah, I do want that. But if they were to be honest with themselves, having that thing, person, experience, life experience, success, weight loss, means that other people might judge them. That other people will be, you think you're all that. Now, it doesn't matter on how much success of anybody that I've worked with, whether they're a New York Times bestselling author, whether they are a guitarist in one of the most famous bands in the world, or a mum that has 4 kids that is just trying to get back to how she felt and looked when she was in her 20s. Whatever it is, there's something, if you're not there yet, there's something to be addressed and to look at with kindness within yourself and love. But it's an identity is holding you back because 22 minutes and 22 seconds as I say that, thank you, because there is a version that we have to let go. We have to let go of wanting to be understood. We have to let go of being, I'm not the curvaceous, like for me, being curvier, for me fatter, I put on a load of fat, and because I was in survival mode, I then thought it kind of capped who I thought maybe I could be within the future, partners or opportunities. Because I sure as shit was like, I want to speak on stages again. Would I have spoken on stage? No, that was holding me back from even applying for stuff like that. It's how these little things happen, or yeah, that I could go down the road there, but it's like, okay, so the identity question, like what, again, in your identity, what works for you? What doesn't work for you? What are you saying yes to when you're not saying no to? All of that stuff. But also, are you willing, like not everyone, and I totally understand, it's not people that work with me, but I totally understand, wanting what you want might mean that people around you won't understand you. You'll be the anomaly. But here's the thing that works in your favor. When you're the anomaly, you become unforgettable. Whether people like it or not, you become magnetic. When you're an anomaly, unforgettable, strategies aren't required like for everybody else. You don't have to follow the trends. You are one of one. Because then when you start looking at the identity piece, the third thing is this. If you've made it to this point, this far, I totally get gooses, because your life is about to change. When most people don't watch to this point, when most people scroll on by, like you hanging on, it's something because within your soul feels seen, heard, and understood. And it is the sword I'm willing to die upon. It is the mountain I'm willing to die on. I get it. Because this is what makes you an anomaly and like guaranteed to have what it is that you want, because you are being who it is that you want to be, to have that. for those opportunities to magnetize to you, for you to attract that. This is where effortless, like, how did it happen for her or him? Because they decided, because of, yes, I said so. And this is the point. We can all have this identity piece now. But this is where everyone drops off. Most people. It's the cost analysis. And not cost in, I'm going to spend X for this. Maybe to some, to many, it's like, well, what's my ROI of this? That's just, that level of thinking is why most people don't or won't. But the cost analysis of this, of your change, of your authenticity, what is it costing you to not be yourself? I'll tell you, it's the relationships that you have or do not have. It's the depth in which those relationships are or are not. In family, in friends, in connections. It's your business, the reflection of your business. Can you make money? Can you make money and be a success without having true authenticity? Of course. But it won't fulfill you, not deep down. It won't. And I have met so many entrepreneurs, business owners, corporate execs, like, CEOs, all of that. But if you aren't being true to yourself, there's a part of you that feels like you're selling your soul. And trust me, you'll know it and you'll feel it, and that will resonate if you've been there, because I sure as shit have been there myself. So the cost analysis is, what is it really costing you to not be yourself, to not follow through, to not honor what it is that you desire, to not be the version of you that you know is within? Because it's not out there. It's you saying yes to yourself. It's you saying yes to the relationships of your dreams. You saying yes to the clients that are just going to adore you because they see something in you, and vice versa. There's an understanding that is beyond words, as I've always said. So when I looked at these points myself, everything changed in my life in November, and I'll share more for you here, because it's like, the cost of my family not or some of my family not understanding me, or some of my family watching, not even supporting, like just watching from afar and wondering what I'm up to and like talking behind my back or whatever. I'm willing for all of that because I understand that the cost of me not being me is like, it's just, what's the point? I would rather be misunderstood by others than misunderstood by myself, by not listening to myself, by not being true to myself, by not living a legacy and a mission that matters to me, that matters for me, for you to understand. You have the power within your own hands to change the trajectory of your whole life. You don't need more information. What you need is transformation, and that's what I'm here for, unequivocally. So the fourth part, so the snap, the identity question, the cost analysis, and the fourth final thing. It is the willingness. This is huge. This is huge. It is the willingness of you being seen. And I'm not talking, just to be clear, I am not talking about those those people that know the right things to say, going, I see you like nobody else sees you. And you can smell BS from a mile off because they can't even see themselves. They're not even willing to see themselves. We know that, we can smell it a mile off. And if not, we soon become very aware of it by how they act. They say one thing, do another thing. This is why I've shared everything so publicly. Because nobody on this planet has looked at me the way I've looked at myself to be like, Stacey? No. Like, I'm willing to share everything. Because that's where the power lies. Nobody has anything against me that I haven't faced myself and looked at. Do you know what I mean? And I'm still learning, but this is where having the audacity to be truly myself, it's like why I say people will either like me or loathe me. Because why? Because you cannot fake realness. You cannot fake meeting someone that has met themselves. You cannot fake a businesswoman or a business person that is doing the work and not just saying, do this, and hasn't done it themselves. You cannot fake me walking into a room or you walking into a room and literally you can feel the whole room knows you're there. And you just literally walk in. This isn't ego. This is what we know because we know the power of truth influences things, heals things, triggers things. Like, heck, like I know people look at me and go, who does she think she is? Because there's a part of themselves they're not willing to look at. And I haven't even said a word. Haven't even said a word. And all my life, I thought there was something wrong with me. And maybe you felt that too. It's like when I meet people, learning this whole like dating again and, those things. It's like, talk a good talk, mate. You can talk a good talk, but can you walk the walk? Vastly different. Vastly different. So, with that in mind, if this is something that you're willing to explore, that you want to explore, that you're like, wow, where else could I go in my life? What else could I do? Who else could I be? What could I attract into my life? When you change the coordinates to yourself, everything else will shift. People that, you just won't, people can smell like, good luck trying to trick me. Like, good luck to it. And this is why, I'll end here. This is why, will I? We shall find out. This is why the levels of love I have within myself ever evolving. Like, I'm willing to do that. I'm willing to show up in my business. So in November when it changed and like women and people are saying, yes, I want to work with you. And yes, I want you to help me, from weight loss to business to impacting millions to, and here I am, a woman that's been on this sofa bawling my eyes out, or sharing how I don't know how I'm going to make ends meet, or sharing how I'm getting rejected from job interviews, to then making most people's monthly salary or whatever because I had a phone call with somebody. Like, what? And I say that because it turned around because I turned and looked within. Where am I hiding? Where do I think I'm too much? Where do I think, okay, one of the biggest things, who's going to want to hire me because my life has just gone to shit? Was like, no, I'm turning around to myself and saying, wow, there's a woman that is not giving up, right? And that's why those people said yes, is because I'm still here. There's consistency. So it's funny how somebody said, I just don't see the consistency. The consistency is I'm human, living a human experience. And like, well, I'm living a human experience and I'm not trying to be perfect. But I am being me in all my imperfect glory. And that, whatever it is that you're doing, I swear with everything that I am, that will make you stand out. That will make you memorable. That will make connections effortless. That was Fiona. I thought, I am live. Hello. I thought I was watching the replay. No, I am right here. And you're a woman that knows exactly what I'm talking about. It's like those yeses come from people who are seeing the real you. They're feeling. There's things, authenticity is not something that needs to be said. Okay, I know I'm saying on this live stream, but it's not something to be said. It's something that is felt. It's greater than words. How you hold yourself, how you show up, what you say and what you do when nobody is watching is all in alignment with who I am right here, right now. Okay? Consistency showing up, yes. And as well, it's not just online, it's showing up within yourself. 333. 33 minutes and 33 seconds. Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So, I do hope this video has helped. From my heart to yours, all you need to do is reach out to me on any social, like on the social medias. Typically Instagram works the best. But if there is something percolating within yourself, you are meant for more. It's not because you're ungrateful. It's not because all those other things. Within yourself, maybe what you've achieved already is just the tip of the iceberg. The impact. It doesn't have to be about making more money, although it may be. It could be the way that you want to love yourself in the mirror again and connect with yourself. It could be that you have a mission and you want to reach millions. Like somebody, who's reaching millions and millions on their on Instagram and TikTok and things like that. That's like, I've got all this now, Stacey. What do I do with it? Like, I really want to do something amazing with this. It's like, okay, and now we're working together. So, like, that's what I'm saying. Transformation isn't just like a one size fits all, but you do know within yourself what you are seeking, because what you are seeking is seeking you right back. You just got to align with it, honor it, be it, and watch everything shift. Because it's happening in my life, and I always said that I would share highs, lows, and everything in between. And the shift happens the moment that you shift yourself, that you decide, oh, there's a ladybird that's just flew in my, oh my God, that's got to be a sign. Hello. Oh, she's so cute. How old is she, do we think? She's 6. She's 6. Anybody else do that, or was that just me? Okay. All right, gorgeous. I'm going to love you and leave you. If you have any questions, put in the comments, share this if you want or not. But we've met for a reason, and I unequivocally know that. Lots of love. Have an amazing day. Thank you, Fiona, for watching, and anybody else that I haven't seen, but lots of love. Over and out.